Hello, welcome to another walkthrough of another of my sketchbooks. So this is my latest one, and this is a hand-bound sketchbook that I made myself, and I'm not very tight and I'm not very worried about having the perfect sketchbook on the outside or that is perfectly bound. I like that my art journals have the papers I want, the different types of textures and papers, and that I can add all of those things to them. So here's my latest one, and let's start by this. I made this sketchbook on the 20th of March of 2022. So it has a couple of years and I'm just finishing it after 2 years. This is 2024, so it's 2 years. So here I added an envelope. I really don't use them that much. I don't remember I have some collage things that never got glued down. So a couple of cats, little person, a cat person, another cat. I think you can see some patterns here. Another little person, face, another person, cat face, and a house, and another person. And it seems that they didn't make it into my sketchbook, so that's all right. They are part of the history of this sketchbook, so that's why they're still there. Maybe someday I will remember them and use them in some page in somewhere else, but for now they're there. This was really fun to make. This was actually a class that I created. This is my sketchbook or art journal. I use those words interchangeably, so I use one or the other, but this is the place where I experiment with new ideas, techniques. I come up with classes, and it's basically my playground. This is using some collage, and this is using some masking fluid. And here I have some gold leaf that I really love using. I'm not good at putting it down. It never gets really well put down, but I enjoy it, so that's what counts for me. And I love making these kinds of things, the repeating of a shape or a theme. I repeat it over and over again, and I love how it looks. Now you are going to see a lot of different experiments here. This is an experiment using some colored pencils and using all types of different art supplies. Now here, this is how I come up with a class, and this was for Kaleidoscope. So I guess this was Kaleidoscope 2022, and I started with a color palette. I wanted to see how different blues would look with the colors that I've already chosen, that were these ones. So I love actually making color palettes and seeing how a color reacts when I use white or black or napled yellow or burnt umber or raw umber. So these are all those experiments. This is another experiment for a lesson for that same kaleidoscope, where I was using my least favorite color, that is this green. Actually is chromium green, I think it's this one, but I mixed it with white and raw umber to create tints and shades and create this little turtle. This page, I actually like how it looks, so I left it that way, and that happens a lot. Like the colors and the textures are nice, so I leave them that way. More color experiment. I'm using acrylics. That is my preferred medium. I love working with acrylics. They're very versatile and you can use them in lots of different ways. And another color palette. This is the start of an idea of how to use these colors for that lesson. More experiments with those color palettes and seeing how I could create some sort of big feline, but I think it didn't happen. I ended up going more this way with 3 different birds, and it was a fun lesson. I really enjoyed that lesson. I paint a lot of cats, a lot of tigers and lions, and I love them, so I paint them a lot. And I also love birds, so I also paint a lot of birds. And I think this that you see here, this is all collage, and it's like similar to the cats I show you at the beginning. And these collage papers are actually the paper that I use to protect the surface where I paint. And it ends up being full of color and full of paint, so I love using it and recycling it to use it for collage. This is a mixture of some paint and then some collage here and this little house. I'm a mixed media artist, so I love working with different supplies. These cats turn out really cute, and more collage. Here's an idea that I was working on for a life book lesson, working with collage papers and some butterflies. This was an exercise that I made for some class I was taking, and it was to fold a paper in half and then cut out a shape, and it ended up here. And this is something that I really don't like, but it's there because it's part of my process. It's part of creating things that I like. Part of that process is creating things that I don't like. So I left it there just because I like the idea. I don't like the colors. I don't like the way it's executed. But when I see it, it reminds me of the idea. I find this page really fun because this is a collage cat. It's paint, and there's a lot of techniques here. This is colored pencil. This is a background that I made using really watered down acrylic paint, and then some paint markers, more collage, these tiny houses, and this page looks really fun for me, of course. And here, this is something that I made for Everything Art. Actually, for Kasia's book, Wanderlust. And she asked me to create something that would have, like, to create a background and then use white to make that background go lighter. I don't remember exactly, but the book is really cool. It's called Wanderlust, if I'm not mistaken. Let me mistaken. Anyway, this page I made, but I didn't like it. It wasn't what I wanted, so I made it again. And here's the page that ended up in the book and that I really love. And what happened between the two of these pages is that I realized this was too much. There were too many elements, and here I brought it down to what I really wanted, and that was a background, a really busy background, some white on top, my main image, and something that would give more interest to the page. I also love working with neon colors, so this background is full of neon colors. This is actually a lesson for life book. I don't remember if it was a bonus or a taster session, but this was for life book. These are colors that I really enjoy working, and I had a couple of papers with those colors, so I glued them here. This is an experiment of a color palette. It seemed like very ethereal and like an underwater fantasy thing going on. And a lot of my pages don't really have a meaning or a sense. It's more experiment. And that's what's happening with these 3 pages. I'm experimenting with different colors and techniques. And my go-to images are birds and nature and animals, so this is like a kind of abstract nature scene, I suppose. Again, from that class, I painted up a paper, folded, and then cut it out. And I don't think I've said this, I don't work chronologically on my sketchbook. I look for papers that I enjoy, and I go to those pages and start working there. Right now, because we're going front to back, you're seeing it this way, but at one point maybe all of these pages were blank and I started trying things out here. And that is mainly because the papers I use are different and I want their right paper for whatever I want to do. This is a technique that I really love, and it's negative painting. It's really fun and it lets me be very free and get a lot of my energy out and then calm everything down. Cats, little cats, some experiments. I think maybe this was a suggestion of a class. I'm not sure what this is about. This is oil paint, and that's why you see all these like different color, and it was because the acrylic paint damaged the paper, but I really don't care. I wanted to see what would happen if I would paint with with oil paints here. And actually these oil paints are neon, so that's what I wanted to try out. Actually, that is why I bought them. I don't use oils, I don't work with oils, but they were neon, so that got me and I bought them. And I have never used them since, but another of those experiments of folding a paper and cutting it out. This was for Halloween, and I think this was a lesson by Sarah Trump, if I'm not mistaken, for Book of Days, maybe? Anyway, these were really fun to paint. And this one I made on another kind of paper and taped it down here. This is working with masking fluid. That's a really fun technique. It is a little bit difficult sometimes, and it gets used to. And in another sketchbook I tried it and used it a lot, and maybe this page I painted it while I was waiting for the other sketchbook to dry up. That's another thing. Not only do I do not work chronologically, I also work in a couple of sketchbooks at the same time because I'm waiting for things to dry. Even if I have a heat gun, whenever I use very watered down paints, I need to let them sit at least a little bit. This is some sketches from somewhere. I don't know what I was looking at. More sketches, looking at different kinds of leaves. For me, I tend to paint the same leaf over and over, so I like to once in a while look at reference pictures to have ideas, new ideas of new types of leaves. This is an experiment using some stamps, and this is molding paste. I don't know if you can see that there's a texture there, and I will be teaching this year, but that's a surprise, so I can't talk more about it. Experimenting with some things, creating the same image. As I told you, I like repeating the same thing over and over again and seeing what happens. Now here's another experiment with a color palette and seeing if I painted something, how would the colors go, or how would I arrange those colors. And that's it. This is the end of this sketchbook. It's kind of weird that it doesn't have any. I usually add the date to the last page when I finished my sketchbook, but this one doesn't have it, so I really don't know when it was finished. But that's it. This is my sketchbook. It's sewn to this part of the book that I'm totally blanking out right now, and it was a good sketchbook for me. Hope you enjoyed the walkthrough, and I love reading your comments. If you have any comments, just leave me a message, and that's it. Have a great day. Bye.